Hello everyone. In this video, I want to talk about the progress I made in building Celestia from source. The bad news is I still haven't figured out how to build it successfully. The good news is I think we are making some progress and I have identified some of the issues and how to solve them. Before I start, I want to say it's really unfortunate because I think if I can just ask a developer, everything will be much more straightforward. Unfortunately, because of some issue with Gmail, and they mentioned it in one of the posts, you can no longer register an account on the forum, and I cannot ask a question. On the other hand, I did find Celestia 1.7.0 seems to start as early as 2018 or 2022, so there is a big concern. What is happening for the past few years, and who is still developing it, which I don't know. And who is actually working on it, and what are they working on these days, right? As I was saying, I hope Celestia could still be used for the next 5 to 10 years, but I really wish it has a more stable foundation than that. On the other hand, I did ask questions on the issue, and as soon as I get more updates on that, I will maybe make another video showing you some of the results. Now, in this video, we are continuing from the previous build result. To recap, we were doing something like this. The git clone, and then do VC package to install the dependencies, and then specific for building, we make sure you pick either one of this. In this case, I am not using Qt 6, I am using Windows, and I disabled NLS because I was having problem with get text and lib intl, and then just make sure the epoxy has correct path. So that is what we had. Now, if you followed my instructions, you will likely encounter those two problems. Those are actually two categories of problems. First one is in generating OBJ file. The second one is in the source code itself. If you go to output, it's actually clearer what are the problems exactly. This one is actually related to the Lua library, and this one is related to an identifier called href. If you look at the place this arrow happens, which is right here inside winmain.cpp, and if you scroll up a little bit, you'll find that this variable is actually defined right here. And by the way, the whole section from the top here all the way down is a global statement. Honestly, I'm a little bit unsure how exactly does that work. Probably this macro is defining a function for that, and somewhere it's being called. But the whole thing is basically happening in the global scope. And then you will see that you can only get the variable if you enable NAS. So you have to enable NAS in order to get href. Basically, that's the thing it is. And surprisingly, if you just enable NAS, and here I'm using the exact same procedure, but just enable NAS, the whole thing suddenly works, and you can generate the appropriate build files. I think that's probably because I installed the whole thing a few times. Maybe some other stuff are getting picked up, but generally it's the same step. So hopefully when you are building it yourself, you don't need to go through all the repetition, and the first time around when you do vcpkg install, you will be able to get all the libraries. And here you can see the get text and intl are all successfully found. So you just need to enable NAS in that case. On the other hand, even if you enable NAS, you will still have this problem, which is related to Lua. Now, according to ChatGPT, and I did verify it, those few functions are from Lua 5.3, not Lua 5.1. On the other hand, if you remember from the video, if you go to the video, if you remember, we were using Lua, and then we were using LuaJIT. LuaJIT is the JIT implementation of canonical Lua. So those two are both based on earlier version of Lua. So in that case, because those functions are only available in the newer version, you will not be able to have it in the older version of Lua. So one thing I attempted to do is to change the package dependency. And in this case, I changed the vcpkg.json file. Where is it? And I essentially disabled I removed the LuaJIT and leave just Lua. Now, if I try to build it, you are going to encounter this problem, which I haven't been able to figure out what is causing it and how one can deal with it. So that is basically my progress so far. On the other hand, I just want to point out something else. If you are encountering something like this, cannot open file, like something like this, very weird, that is probably because your folder path contains a space in it. So you just need to make sure when you check out the source code, you don't have a space in your path. For instance, all the successful ones we have here, they don't have any space in it. And the other version, so I'm building it multiple times, the other version also don't have a space in it. So just make sure you don't have a space in it. Alright, so that is all the discoveries I have made regarding the building errors. On the other hand, there are some other things I think is worth mentioning. The first one is, if you look at the GitHub, I just realized we are on master branch. So master branch is supposedly building for the latest source, 1.7.0. So I actually tried go to version 1/6_1 and 1.6.x. None of them work. On the other hand, there's something very interesting here. If you go to one of those older versions, actually, before we even go there, let me just show you their status. And you can see those are all the branches, right? And the 1.6.x was last updated 11 months ago, which is fairly recent. But the 1.1, where is it? Stale. 1_1_1 was last updated 7 years ago. So I suppose the only one that's up to date is this guy. But even if you go to this guy, you will be surprised to find there are quite a few files missing from here. You don't have install.md file, and you also do not have a CMake file. Okay, you don't have a CMake file. On the other hand, if you go to the main branch, you do have the CMake file. So I think they are adding this. So this is a fairly new addition to the whole build process. So that is something I discovered. The other thing is I want to just recap, because last time I wasn't super clear on that. If we go to install.md, and if we go to the bottom of it, you can see the supported CMake premise. I just want to go over with you on those things. The first few ones I still don't quite understand why they are there, but the enable cell X, this one is the one that depends on Lua. That's why we need Lua or Lua JIT. And then Spice, it seems to have something to do with Lasa's library, dealing with trajectory or some other stuff. And then the NLS is, of course, for interface translation, and this one depends on get text and LLB INTL. And then those are the 4 front ends we have, and you have to choose either one of it. So either Qt5, Qt6, STL, and Win. Qt5, I heard it's already deprecated, so you should use either Qt or Win. And then those are the few libraries that probably do additional stuff. This one, I don't know what it's for, and GIS also I don't know what it's for. And I think if you enable Qt, you should also enable this one. And those two, I'm also not really sure what it's for. So those are the few parameters you need to use. I just want to point out you need to enable either one of it. Although, on the other hand, I want to show you something very bewildering, because this one, they do have a GitHub action. So if you go to this build, actually you don't need to go there, just go to GitHub, go to workflows, and you can find a few different workflows. They are targeting different platforms. So for instance, Solar seems to be building for Ubuntu, and translation seems to be building translation files. The CI seems to be building for Windows, because I do see Windows here. And according to this file, if you set up, scroll down a little bit, you can see those are all the libraries they are using, and they did include FFmpeg because they are including additional features. But something that is bewildering is they are simultaneously enable Qt6 and Windows. Yeah, I don't really understand what is going on here. I probably will also ask this in the issue I had, but I just want to point this out because this is something that is very bewildering. So that is everything I have discovered so far, and thank you for watching.